is a live-action remake of the 1991 animated film of the same name, and this film, for the most part, was mostly shit. For those who saw my review of the animated Beauty and the Beast, you all know how much I adored that film, and that film is one film I hold dear to my heart. And of course, going into this film, my biggest fear was, will they be able to capture the spirit and the essence of what made the animated film so good and the reason that film got nominated for Best Picture? And like I said, this film was mostly shit. Like, a lot of things pissed me off in this movie. I'll get some of the positive things out of the way first. The performances by the human characters were good. Not all of them were perfect. Like the main heroine, Belle, played by Emma Watson, she did a good job, but the only gripe I had with this performance was, to me, it felt like I was watching Hermione Granger. And I know this is Emma Watson's accent and this is how she usually talks, but I just felt like I was watching Hermione Granger in her own spin-off film of Harry Potter. And you know, even if there was a little change in the accent, that would have helped the film a lot. But no, she speaks like how Hermione Granger speaks. It wasn't bad, but I just wanted something different. Other than that, everyone else does a good job. Like Luke Evans as Gaston is really good, Kevin Kline as Maurice is good, and even Josh Gad as LeFou is really good. And for the first 20 minutes, I was really enjoying this film. However, things started to go downhill once we got to the castle, and after that, the film had a hard time trying to win me back because I was disappointed the entire time. Because if you remember the adorable side characters from the original film and how everyone loved them, you're not going to get that here because these characters were obnoxious, annoying, and hideous to look at. Like, you look at the animated ones and look how, you know, cute and adorable they look. Here they look downright terrifying because I know they're trying to make them look realistic, but yeah, I wouldn't sell them as a toy to kids. That would scare the shit out of them. There could have been better designs for these characters than this. Now, talking about the Beast, for the most part, I didn't mind him, because not only do I think they got a good actor to play this character, but I personally liked the design of the Beast. Now, one of the biggest fears I had going into this film was how much of this film would they, you know, keep true to the animated film. Like, they stayed true to some of the scenes and some of the lines of the film, but then out of nowhere, they changed shit up. Like, the way some scenes go down took me out of the moment. Like, one scene in the animated film where Belle goes into the Beast's room for the first time, and Beast just freaks out, yells at her, just wrecks his room. And, you know, that was a good scene. And then, here in this film, all she does is gets close to Rose without even touching it. He jumps in and just yells at her, and then she just runs away. And speaking of changing things up, in this film, there are new scenes that are added. Some of these scenes are welcome additions, but then there are some scenes I felt downright ruined the film. Like, there's this one scene near the start where she's teaching a girl how to read, and that goes absolutely nowhere. That was a pointless scene. And then there's this thing added to Gaston where he was a war hero. To me, having the aspect of the war hero really, you know, detracts from the character. Because in this film, he's portrayed as a war hero, and yet he acts like an asshole. In fact, I wasn't a fan of this Gaston, because with the animated Gaston, he was likable, the town hero, and you could see him both play the hero and the villain. Here he just played an asshole, a complete unlikable asshole. And it was hard for me to buy him as either a hero or a villain. I just saw him straight down the middle, an asshole. And one of the biggest changes that I was really had mixed feelings about was the Beast. In the animated film, they did this good job of making him, you know, unkind, brutish, greedy, you know, selfish, all about himself, and he's not that very smart. Here in this film, almost all of that is thrown out the window. Like, yes, he's very beastly and very, you know, rude and whatnot, but some new additions they made to the Beast was he can read and he can talk properly like an Englishman. And speaking of him reading books, that's how the Beast and Belle fell in love with this movie. And this is perhaps the worst development of a romance. Because in the animated film, and I know I'm going back to the animated film a lot, but the animated film did so many things so much better, and this one just didn't. In the animated film, they started to show feelings towards each other after the Beast saved Belle, and she thanked him for saving her life, and then they slowly built on that. Here, they slowly built on the relationship after they find out that they both have a love for books. And I just didn't buy this romance. And then everything that followed after this was absolute crap. The worst romance storytelling I've ever seen. And like, I'm a sucker for romance films if they're done well and can tell a believable romance. Here, this was the most unbelievable romance I've ever seen. All this romance builds on is they have a love for books, and then the entire romance builds around books, and like there's this one new scene they've added in that completely ruins everything. It's another enchanted object that the Beast gets, and I'm not going to spoil what it is, but that furthers my point of like why these two have a love for books. Now, I'm being completely harsh in this film, and for good reason, because I'm a die-hard Beauty and the Beast fan, and a lot of the stuff in this film I was pissed off at. New changes and additions weren't needed in this film, the performances by the humans were the only good thing in the film, and the visual effects, while in some scenes did look nice, to me, they just weren't polished enough like they were in The Jungle Book. But if I was to say what this film's one saving grace is, that's the music. Like, literally every time I heard a song or the musical score, which is once again done by Alan Menken, who also did the animated film, basically the music was what saved me from giving this film a really bad score, because the music is phenomenal. Like, you all remember the classic songs and how good they sound. And there's also some new songs as well that I also welcome. Like, these new songs are welcome additions to, already classic songs that we are all familiar with. And a change I liked was they gave the Beast more songs, because in the anime film, they only gave him one song and he only had like a few lines and that was it. Here, they give him a full song, and it was brilliant. And every time I heard that iconic score, I just got a chill down my spine. Because with this film, at least with its music, it retains the charm, the wonder, and the excitement that we all felt for the original animated film. Because with the animated film, that film felt like a fairy tale. This one, not so much. But at least with what they did with the music, it made me say, they've kept true to the spirit of the animated film. And that I have to actually applaud them on. Overall, if I was to recommend this, I would only recommend it because of the music, because the music is phenomenal. Like, everyone does a good job of singing these songs. There's not one bad singer I could point out in any of these songs. Everyone sings their heart out in these songs. And honestly, if I was to see this film again, it would be just for the music. And I'm going to give Beauty and the Beast a 6 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my channel below. As always, I'm NETX5. Thanks so much for watching.